Well, thank you very much. First of all, that's like everything here, first class. I do want to start off thanking the Vizio Fiesta Bowl Organization Committee and all the Yellow Jackets. This experience for our coaches and our players, couldn't be any better. And we're excited to obviously be here for the game. These guys that are going to be with us answering questions for you guys today have worked extremely hard to get to this. And on the 31st, we'll play extremely hard. But it's nice for these guys to see outside of our university what it's like and what first class is like by how they're being treated throughout this week. So we say enough about the hospitality and the people that are helping us and that put this together. And I know there's been comments, throughout this week that Boise State and some of us on staff have been to this game before, but it's completely different. It really is. And every time we've been here or I've been here, it gets better and better. And some of the people have changed. A lot have stayed the same. But every opportunity that we've had with these folks has been unbelievable. And for our team, not many guys have been here. And this year in particular, with the college football playoff and the way everything in college has changed, we feel like we're one of the few teams in these big bowl games making somewhat a little bit of history, with the way things have gone so far. And we're excited to be a part of that. So this prep week here has been first class, where we're practicing our field, what's going on there. Our guys have gotten everything they've needed to go out there and have success on the 31st. And we're excited about, being 48 hours away, basically, from game time and ready to roll. So with that, we'll open up for questions.
Coach Alex Q.
Turn that on.
Coach Alex Q, Fox Sports Arizona. Just wanted to congratulate you for being here, but you've been here as an assistant coach, but how does it feel, besides the college football playoff, to be a head coach coming into this game?
Well, I'm very proud, one, for our program, to be back here representing Boise State. As a coordinator, that was fantastic. And those two games in 06 and 10 that we played in, different teams, different staff, but we did some incredible things throughout that season, just like we did this year. To come full circle and be back here as the head coach, very proud, but very proud of our staff and our players. I think if you look at our season, you probably would say that early on we wouldn't be in this position. And it's a credit to our players, as the season went on, this 1-0 mentality that we started to talk about, and all of a sudden, game 9, 10, we're getting mentioned in possibly playing in one of these bowl games, and this one in particular. I know our team was extremely excited, and having a chance to have been here 2 games previously, I knew how this would affect, our football program and how awesome experience it would be for our players to be here. So proud of our coaches, proud of our players, and proud to be representing Boise State.
Any other questions?
What do you remember about the year you worked with Con Brewer and Caleb Jones in Texas, and what really stood out about those 2 guys to you?
Yeah, well, those 2 guys I recruited as well, so know their families, been in their homes. Caleb, I'll start with him. He's got a background. His dad played 10 years or so in the NFL for the Cowboys. Great work ethic, understands what it takes to be successful at the highest level. And, we had him in Texas. He was a young guy playing. You'd like to take some of those young guys and let them marinate a little bit. That wasn't the case with him. He came in right away and played and did a great job for a young guy. I think his maturity level, watching him now, you see what experience does for an athlete like Caleb. And it's showing up. And the guy's a playmaker. He's doing a great job. I've watched him. His demeanor has gotten better. He's more mature. He's just getting better and better. Connor, Connor, same thing. I think he's a guy, he transferred out of Texas there. But we felt like he was a very good player and could do a lot of things for us. I don't know what his situation is right now, but he's a competitor, great family background. he's got brothers, sisters, all playing in college. So he comes from a good line there, and he's another one that Chaparral High School that's done a great job, and is really hopefully gets a chance and opportunity there.
This will now conclude our moderated portion of the press conference. We'll open it up now for the player interviews. Of course, if you are still interested in speaking with Coach, you're welcome to come out towards the podium. Thank you.
Harsin, this off now.
What has the week been like in terms of the preparation on the field? What have you gotten out of your guys?
Like a normal week, it really hasn't been any different. The only thing that we did differently this week, we didn't go full pads on our normal Tuesday practice. We went shells. Went shells again on Wednesday. We'll go helmets today. So that's a normal week for us. But we've been in pads. We've been very physical prior to coming to Arizona, and I think the guys have done exactly what we asked them to do. We wanted to prepare last week like it was a game week, and then we sent them home for Christmas. But we wanted to say, hey, if we play on Saturday, are we ready to go play and win? And I thought they did. They went home, and then this week was about coming back, being physical early on, and then fine-tuning with the game, what we have in the game plan.
Arizona's talked a lot about their offense trying to wear down teams with their tempo and stuff late in games. How do you feel your team conditioning-wise has been this year, and how do you look at that aspect?
I think it's been very good. I think any team, we run no huddle as well. I think that's the classic line that we're a no huddle team. We're going to wear you down. I think that is a little bit of the past, in my opinion, because everybody's a no huddle team for the most part. So I believe our players, throughout the season, watching our guys in games, I feel like we've been fresh. I don't feel like we've gotten run down. But I also know this. I also know that Arizona's a different animal too now. They do a great job with their tempo. But we've seen that throughout the year. Fresno in the last game, those guys went extremely fast, and our guys are still able to execute. So bottom line is we're going to have to play fast. Is tempo a factor? Yes, but if we're prepared for it, which I believe we are, we need to get lined up and play too.
Have you had any academic or discipline issues since you guys have been here?
No, not that I know of. And the one thing too, and we said this, those grades don't post here for the next couple of days, and it might come out today, but I feel very strongly that all of our guys that are here are going to be here. I think we've had a strong semester. Don't know what the final result is yet, but talking to these guys and asking them throughout the year, and we ask them to be very honest with us, good or bad. Don't put us in a situation where we don't know, and so far, all that's come true.
Arizona's, one of the few really truly balanced offenses in terms of being dynamic in both areas that you guys have faced this year. How much different of a challenge is this for your defense than some what you guys have seen the last 6-8 weeks?
Yeah, well, I think the challenge comes in just the run pass options and everything on there. We've looked at them, from our offensive standpoint, throughout the year. When they beat Oregon, you want to go back and watch that game. And this is before we even knew we were going to play Arizona. You're kind of just studying, what they're doing, and the quarterback obviously is playing well. But when you have a chance to read, pull, run, and throw, and then do it in the different ways they're doing, I think they're doing some things differently than most. It's tough to defend. You got to do your job is what you need to do, and I think what they can get you out of doing is trying to make you do more than you're supposed to do and try to help another guy out, and all of a sudden you're out of position. And once you're out of position, their team speed, if you watch them, they can take it and go. So, we need to be a disciplined defense, bottom line, and we need to do our jobs out there. And they're going to make plays. That's the reality of it. They're going to make plays, and we've got to be able to make those plays, contested plays throughout the game, and not just gimmies.
This is, you came here talking about this being a dream job for you, and obviously knowing it was going to be a lot of work as well. A year later, how has this first year as the Boise State head coach kind of met your expectations and maybe been different than what you thought?
Still a dream job. Yeah, that hasn't changed. And probably even more so excited about, where we are right now. Not just because of this game, but just our program. And we had we had our own bowl game. We had the Boise Bowl that we did with our young guys. So we let those guys, before we left, kind of cut it loose and get after it and be live. And you know, we saw some things from some of our young players that was very encouraging. You know, maybe our expectations were hopefully we can snap the ball, and they went out there and actually, you know, they ran plays, they executed. So, you know, I like where we're at with our program, you know, with our young guys as well. But as far as the season goes, you know, the expectations were to win our conference. You know, that was the expectation. And, you know, when I went in there and met with the team prior to the press conference, you know, the goal is up there on the wall, and it says, you know, to win our conference in a bowl game. We did neither one last year. And so I asked those guys, if we still want to do this, you know, we'll change the goal. If that's not what we want to do, then, you know, let's go ahead and take it off the wall. But if this is what we want to do, let's really work and concentrate on doing that. Let's win our conference. And then if we win our conference, we'll be in a bowl game. And then whatever that is, let's try to find a way to win that. It's important to us. We happen to win our conference. Now we're in a major bowl game. And, you know, so as far as what we set out to accomplish, you know, we've done that at this point. We've done it to this point. We haven't won our bowl game. We've given ourselves an opportunity to play on a stage bigger than any stage we've been on this entire season against a top 10 football team, and hopefully we put ourselves in position to win.
People talked about the energy and new energy and that you and your staff have brought. Is that difficult to sustain? I mean, you've been going 100 miles an hour for a year. Is it going to be hard to turn around 2 weeks from now and do that all over again?
Well, I think that's the challenge for any staff. You know, obviously the first year everything's exciting, it's new. You know, maybe even your own expectations are, hey, I just hope things go well. You know, when you're a coach, a little bit like 06, and we had no idea. We had no idea we'd be the team we were then. But you got to hit the reset button, you know, once it's over, and you got to find new ways to keep yourself, staff, team, program, recruiting, all that, you know, motivate. And here's the one thing: I don't think that's going to be difficult for us. Because we're still growing as a program, and to me that's and when you go around to some other programs, I think what you see is what you're going to get, and I think at Boise what you see is not what you're going to get in a good way. You know, that continues to build.
And Marcel yesterday was saying, you know, you've got so much passion for that place and want so badly for this to go well that he said early on maybe it was even too much, like too tight, and when you guys got off to the rough start. I mean, how badly do you want this to go well for this program and for you?
Yeah, well, I want this program to be successful. Not for me. I wouldn't say for me. I obviously want to be a part of that. You know, there is some personal goals in there as well, but you know, I played there, you know, I've coached there and those type of things, but I've been different places, and when you go different places, I think you realize how special Boise State really is. And we say that all the time, and everybody, I think it goes in one ear and out the other, because everybody that's ever been at Boise State that leaves says the same thing, and it's true. I want Boise State to continue to grow. I think that we are a power program. I want to hopefully help continue to prove that in football. But I think the one thing that, you know, we're talking football in particular, these guys, you know, we got some seniors now that are not going to be playing for us after this game, and our team will be different. Myself, Coach H, Coach Sanford, guys on our staff, Coach Avalos, Coach Huff, you know, we know what that degree or what Boise State can do for you. And we can talk to those guys and say, I don't know what other programs can do. I know what they did for us, and here we are. You know, we're back at it. We have good jobs. We're working for a great program, and we wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Boise State. And not just because we played there, because we feel the program gave us, you know, the opportunities to do what we're doing.
You got a favorite moment from the year? Something, obviously you got a little left, but anything that really stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I think the post-game speech after the Air Force game was probably the most difficult, and was probably the best thing maybe that happened to us, you know. And not so much the speech, I think just that moment, because I think everybody, you know, when you have 7 turnovers in a game, I think everyone's like, well, that's just one of those type of games. No, it wasn't. We got beat. And I wanted to make sure everybody understood that. You know, Air Force earned the right to beat us in that game. We didn't lose the game. They earned the right to beat us. And I think that's a difference, because had we not taken it that way and just said, yeah, I don't think we'd be the team we are now. They beat us, and it was a decision we want to go back to being an 8-5 team, or do we want to try to find a way to truly win out and we didn't know at that point, but we got to win out to at least have a chance to win our conference, let alone, this wasn't even a thought at that point. So probably after that game, and just the players, they acknowledged it too. There wasn't anybody making excuses. I think they all took that internally and said, okay, I need to do something personally myself to help us. And every coach, myself, everybody that was in that room, we changed. We came out to practice the next week, and we were different, going into that Nevada game.
I was talking to, funny, Mark Coyle brought up the same thing. I asked him about you. He was impressed with the poise right there in that moment after a terrible game like that, to handle it the way you did. Did you know how to handle it, or how you would handle a situation like that, or you kind of figured out as you go through it?
No. Handle 7 turnovers? No. Never thought about that. No, I mean, here was the thing. You could see, everybody in that room was disappointed. But at that point, we had lost a tough football game on the road in a bad way. And I think it was just more of just talking to the guy. I don't think it was really anything set up that I'd thought about. It was more just talking to him like, hey, what are we doing? And at the same time, that was a little bit of that, we need to enjoy what we're doing a whole lot more, because we weren't. I think there were some teams, when Kellen's years and those guys were around, we won games, and it was like, hey, great job, and they'd be like, who's next? It was just, it was right on to the next one. They're hungry for who the next opponent was. And we had a lot of confidence, and a lot of guys that, on that team that were very good players. We do as well this year, but we're just a different team. The year before wasn't our best season, and we needed to find out, okay, how do we go back to, winning and doing what we've been doing? Well, we need to go back to enjoying it. Now, maybe down the road, if you go on a run like we did, maybe your team's like that, but this team's not like that. This team needs to know that, hey, this process and how you go about it is equally as important as showing up, how you play on Saturdays. And we seem to do that. And we talked about celebrating after that Nevada game. We talked about, putting all this time into it, and it showed up after we won the game.
Mark has said he's had conversations with you about your contract, the assistants, the program. This is obviously a situation of strength for you guys. What do you need? What does this program need to, keep moving forward?
Well, we have had those conversations, and Mark is he is completely on board with taking care of our assistants and getting those guys, basically what their value is, as much as we can, and not assuming because there's a guy that played at Boise State, that's good enough. So he's done a great job, in my opinion, and we've talked about certain things, for our staff. To me, the key is, keeping our staff here. Our coaches have done a great job, and, we want to make this the best opportunity available to all of our coaches. You live in a great place. You've got players that come in here that you have a chance that want to win. You have a tradition of winning, and I think we take care of those guys pretty well and want to continue that. So that's college football. Obviously, you're talking about raises and keeping guys. You're talking about firing, and that's just how football is. There's really no in between. So I like where we're at. We're winning. We're doing good things, and Dr. Custra and Coyle, both those guys, they see that, understand it, and they're doing a good job of helping our guys out. You
want something contract-wise for you as well, or are you more worried about the assistants at this point?
The assistants. I know my situation's good. I know that. I felt like, when we worked the deal out from Arkansas State to come here, there was a buyout in there, which I think for a lot of people, the buyout, which, was smart, and how Arkansas State set it up, that was a big thing. That's a lot of money, in that whole deal. And that's why, athletic directors and programs do that. And to me, I didn't want that to be the reason why I didn't have an opportunity to come back. And, so what we worked out, it was a good deal for me and my family. It was a good deal for Boise State. And right now it's about taking care of our assistant coaches, making sure that the monies that we do have go back into our program so we can keep doing the things for our players. I mean, feeding our guys this year, giving them shakes, being able to take care of our guys a lot better than we've been able to in the past with the new rules. That's been the difference, you know. So I want to make sure that we're doing that, because that's really the important thing, that our coaches and players get what they need so they can go out there and do their jobs. And you know, the result is, you know, where we are right now.
You guys had said that 98 players came here. I count 105, counting Jabril on the roster, and I know 6 who weren't here, but that was one guy. Is there
Nick Terry.
Nick Terry. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the story there?
He hasn't been with us throughout most of the year.
Okay.
So he's decided to transfer.
Okay.
And that was, I don't know, game 2. I mean, it's been a while.
Gotta update the roster.
Yeah, I don't do that. It's been a while,
Okay.
But he's decided to transfer.
Did he finish the semester in Boise?
He did.
Okay.
Yep.
And you expecting to get Bozen back in January, or still up in the air?
Nope.
On that?
Bosen is no longer with the team.
Okay.
Yep.
Team rules dismissal.
Violation
kind
of team rules. Yep.
And you expect Jabril to be ready to go in January?
I do. Yeah. He's done a very nice job, and his deal has been academics. He's been able to lift, you know, on his own and all that. And you know, you guys don't get to see him every day, but he's a fantastic person. All right, I like him. Everybody that he's been around has said nothing but good things about him. He's taken care of his academics, so he's done exactly what we've asked him to do, and he looks fantastic. So I don't know what that means, you know, when you get him out there and he plays and all that, but he's done everything we've asked him to do. I know it's killing him not to be a part of it, and that's hard, but yeah, we expect him to be ready to rock and roll in spring.
Is it kind of funny that your old boss is in town the same week as you for his bowl game?
Yeah, I thought that was. I've obviously seen that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know. Not in a bad. It's really not in a bad way. And I think everybody, you know, they've tried to make the assumption that, you know, it's going to be awkward for all of us. It's not. I mean, those guys on that staff, you know, we compete against them in recruiting, obviously now, but there's a lot of guys on that staff that, you know, guys on this staff, we won a bunch of games together. We had great experiences. I mean, 2 of them were here as a staff. So I'm really happy for them, happy that they're in a bowl game. I know that they're going to continue to get better. That program is a great program, and Coach Peterson is a friend, and all those guys on staff. So wish them the very best. I hope they win, and you know, I know they're preparing to. And I'd say they feel the same way for us. You know, those guys I know they care about these players. They recruited them, and I know they care about this program and want to see us be successful.
What did you see in particular out of Grant after that Air Force game? What made him be able to respond the way he did?
Well, that was obviously a tough game, you know, for any player, especially at that position, and to have the turnovers that we did. You know, I really didn't know coming out of that game. We had a conversation, and the bottom line was that can't happen. Simple as that. And if it does, you know, you're not going to be our quarterback, because we can't go out there and win games like that. It's just a matter of fact. I think my conversation was really the conversation he already had in his own head before we ever met. He's a coach's son. He's a competitor. He wants to play well, didn't in that game in particular, and then comes back and has, you know, really his numbers, if you look at it, spectacular, you know, from that point on. So I didn't know what that conversation was going to mean at that point. And I don't know if it was that conversation or just him, you know, going on. He understands that can't happen. But he's been fantastic. And, you know, I recruited him after our second Fiesta Bowl and thought that he would be a special player. And he's shown that this year. You know, he's the right guy. He's led our team. He's played extremely well. And we wouldn't be in the position we're in now without him.
Quarterback for Boise State is one of those kind of glamour positions in college football at this point. How did it get here? How did that role become something that people know about now?
Mm-hmm. Well, you go back to the history of our quarterbacks now, and you can go back to Bart Hendricks. You know, when Dirk Cutter was the head coach, you know, Bart was one of the top players in the country at that position. And then Ryan Dinwiddie comes in. Jared Zabransky comes in. Taylor Tharp, I'll mention him for a year. No, I mean, even Taylor Tharp, for 1 year, we had we were still a top 10 offense, I believe, and we were I think we were number 1 in third down percentage that year, with him. And then obviously Kellen. Kellen's a guy that, we have a Heisman finalist, at that position. So I think the history, you go into one of our meeting rooms, in a quarterback meeting room, it's got all those guys on there, and you start looking at the history of, that position, from when Dirk was there and Mark Helfrich, who was my quarterback coach, and with Bart, and then into Dan Hawkins' era and Chris Peterson. And then I followed Chris, to be able to coach those quarterbacks. And there's been a tradition at that position. I think the quarterbacks that we recruit, when they come in there, they look at that, and I think those guys, maybe different skill sets, but, mentality, there's some characteristics we're looking for, and those guys have it, and I think that's why, we've had success. And I think our system, too, from a quarterback standpoint, is pretty good.
You're forgetting yourself. I mean, you didn't name you.
I wasn't very good. No, you said start from where people remember.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your playing career and what it was like to fill that role, however successfully.
I got a lot of coaching experience on the sideline. It was great. A buddy of mine, Jim Brecky, was at that time a Northwest Nugget. That was like the big-time recruits in the Northwest, all the Pac-12s, most of the Pac-10s at that time were recruiting him. Decided to go to Boise State. Well, I happened to be his best friend, so I got to go walk on there and be a part of it. And it was great. Pokey Allen was the head coach at the time. Al Borges was the offensive coordinator, then left. Andy Ludwig came in, replaced him. And so, that was a wonderful experience. And then got Houston Nutt, got a chance to play for Houston. And then Dirk came into the last 2 years. So my experience, I learned a lot of football over that time, going through all those different stabs. And I really liked, I liked Coach Helfrich, I liked Dirk. And those two guys, just sitting in the room, I think I learned more football during those 2 years than I had, the previous 3. And really fell in love with it at that point. Really felt like I had a good understanding. Wanted to play, Bart Hendricks, obviously a good player, did a lot of good things, so I got behind a really good guy. But my experience was fantastic from learning the game. And, when I got done and being around a guy like Dan Hawkins and just the type of influence those guys had on me, was the reason why I wanted to get into coaching.
The vantage point of a backup quarterback versus the start, there's relatively few starting quarterbacks who become head coaches. It's, you got guys like Jim Harbaugh, and it's like, do it my way. When you're a backup and you kind of have it sort of from the sideline, do you learn a different kind of perspective on how to handle quarterbacks, how to handle a starter, how to handle an offense, just kind of by watching?
You learn what not to do and what coaches say about you. You're sitting right there in the headsets. And, it's what's said on the headset stays in the headset, right? And they look at you like, don't tell them that. No, I think, you do. You get a different view, from watching on the sideline. Obviously, when you're in the fire out there, I mean, as a player, you got to do what you got to do. But it was very interesting, to be on the sideline, to kind of be, right there by the coaches and be in their ear a little bit. And then Dirk, the one thing, I got an opportunity to suggest a few ideas throughout the week, some play ideas. And I don't know if they used him or not, but he was encouraging at least, like, hey, those are good ideas. Like, that's legit. We could probably do that. And that was, that was motivation, just to kind of at least be not at that level, but to at least provide some ideas at their level and say, what do you think about this? But you get that from, being on the sideline, listening to them, how they operate, listening to the coaches, how they communicate, what they're looking for, and then trying to help the starter, be his very best. Because you want to win the game, backup or not, you want to see your team win.
Yeah.
What's the status on Peters, Lucar, Jeremy this week?
Jeremy will not play. Dylan will not play. Connor practiced yesterday, has practiced, the last 2 days. We'll see how he feels today. He actually, he looked good yesterday. So, he's a senior. He's going to be tough. He wants to finish. So, I anticipate him playing.
What happened with Dylan this year?
Dylan's had just a couple injuries that have kept him out. He's just been banged up.
So you got 3 safeties for this game. You have an emergency option. I mean, Marcel always jokes it's him, but I know that's not the story. So what do you got after those 3
Yeah,
guys?
I mean, you got to move some guys around. You know, Cameron Hartsfield has played back there.
Okay.
Dante Dion has actually played back there as well. So we can move, you know, Dante into nickel if we have to. We can move him back to safety. We can bring Cameron into corner. You got Moxie, you got Bryan. You know, those 2 guys can play corner. Clee. So, you know, Dante really is the other answer back at safety. You know, I know he's been playing corner, but he gets it. You know, he can communicate it if we need to do that.
Which spot does he play back there when he goes back there?
Boundary. He would be our, you know, where Corey's at.
Yeah.
You know, let me say this. Either one. It depends on what happens.
Okay.
You know, he could play free. He could play boundary. You know, Darion has been, you know, our free safety and all that. We'd like to keep him there. But, yeah, I mean, you're talking about juggling some guys around.
Dante would be the smallest safety in the country, I think.
Yeah, he would. But, yeah, you know what? And it would be the most competitive, that's for sure. But, I mean, we sit there and kind of go roundabout, and you can put all the scenarios in there. And, you know, knock on wood, you know, Dylan, Corey, Darion, you know, all those guys stay healthy, and, you know, we'll be fine.
Coach,